If you have any dignity, apologize to the
podcast.
There's nothing between Viet and me, and you know it.
Doesn't matter, I don't care. I'm not happy here. I'm happy out there in the jungle.
Bonnie, please.
Why shouldn't I tell you? Why shouldn't I? Out there in the jungle. Out there, everything's different. I seem changed. My hands, my eyes. I can see further than I've ever seen before. The smallest leaf on top of the highest tree. I can climb as if I had wings. I can smell 1,000 smells.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to Apologize the Podcast. The podcast where, we just sit around and geek out about random movies and TV shows and anime, video games, anything like that. I'm Tyler, or Jalaman22, and with me is...
It's me, AJ, as in Don't Ignore Me, the YouTube channel. That AJ.
Yes, you are just a embodiment of the YouTube channel. So, we're kind of... the other movie we're going to do an episode on today, we had some difficulties with the DVD, so we're going to go ahead and play a little crazy and select another movie. So I thought it would be cool to do a monster movie, but a very different monster movie. We're covering the 1951 movie Bride of the Gorilla with Raymond Burr, who is the king of awesomeness. That's about time we got around to Raymond Burr. I mean, if you look at my YouTube channel, Jalaman22, my picture is... Raymond Burr from Godzilla King of the Monsters looking up, just like reporting from Tokyo, going, "Oh God, Godzilla's destroying stuff." So, and you like Raymond Burr as well?
Yeah, Raymond Burr is quite awesome. I first saw him in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I really, even though he was just an inserted character for the American audience, I thought he brought a lot to it. I've also saw him in Rear Window. Where he was pretty cool in that. I'm not sure if I've seen him in anything else.
Godzilla 1985.
Oh, Godzilla 1985, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, I really, not to go off on a tangent, but I did like his role in that movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you could think of I've seen him in? Well, it's okay. I'm pretty sure that's probably about it. But I know he's in Perry Mason. I haven't seen any of that, but maybe one day.
Perry Mason's good, and of course Ironside. But we'll dive in more into that. Now, of course, this is your first time seeing Bride of the Gorilla. This is my maybe fourth or fifth time, but it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. So it'll be kind of cool to rediscover it. And we'll dive into more of the trivia and stuff and all that after we watch the movie. So we're going to enjoy Raymond Burr being sinister and all that good stuff. Because I guess up until Godzilla King of the Monsters, he was actually like the heavy in most movies. Because he was usually the film noir bad guy who's just kind of in the corner, like movies like Borderland and, like you were saying, Rear Window. He's usually just the villain. He's a very sinister, bad-looking dude. So it wasn't until, Godzilla King of the Monsters where he's kind of like the hero, the sympathetic person. Or, as he would later be, the hero of a TV show or, as a lawyer or a cop like in Ironside or Perry Mason. I think,
I'd have to say, I think his look... I don't think he really typecast him as a villain or as a hero. I think he can be, he can have some range, acting range to do both, but then also, the believable audience range. You can't have, some people just wouldn't work well as villains. Like, you can't have Billy Joel as a villain. That just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I could see Billy Joel as a villain. He could be an evil animated dog.
Well, granted, he hasn't even really done any acting, so he's probably a bad choice. But still, I couldn't think of anyone on the spot. I'll just admit it.
Yeah, come on, I could see
Okay, no, I got one.
Yeah,
Weird Al.
I was gonna say Weird Al.
How could you see him as a serious villain? Like he just. Oh, I couldn't think of. I don't know.
There's been a lot of comedians have turned into serious villains, like Robin Williams. He, Insomnia. He plays the killer in that, which, oops, spoiler. But Robin Williams has played a bad guy a couple times. Albert Brooks, who's usually a comedian, he's a bad guy in Drive, so...
Maybe. I don't know.
Kermit the Frog was a villain. No, well, he was... not really a villain. That was Constantine. But in the Muppets
Oh,
Most
yeah.
Wanted, he was a bad guy. So, well, anyway, we're going to stop rambling. We're going to go ahead and watch Bride of the Gorilla, and when we come back, we'll dive in a little more into the movie and see what our impressions are. So, looking for a piece of public domain film noir trash. So here we go with Bride of the Gorilla.
Apologize to the podcast. We'll be right back after these messages.
There you go. Get some messages there.
Hello, and welcome to a commercial for Hello, This is the Doom Show. I'm Richard.
I'm Brad.
And on the podcast that is known as Hello, This is the Doom Show, we talk about giallo movies, slasher movies, horror movies.
We're going to interview Cary Grant live in the studio.
We're going to interview Lucio Fulci in the studio, folks. We're going to put Cary Grant in the studio with Lucio Fulci. It's the interview you never thought would happen.
I'm going to wear my Vincent Price slacks.
I'm going to wear my Citizen Kane wristwatch and monocle. And now Brad is going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance in Portuguese. Brad, go.
I don't know Portuguese.
Go! Go!
Stop hitting me!
You're a natural actor.
Yeah.
You can listen to us at hellodoomedshow.podomatic.com, or you can find the archive at doomedmoviethon.com.
Well, I guess the jungle was his home.
The jungle is my home.
The jungle is my house. that's what Raymond Burrs said in this movie. Well, we just watched Bride of the Gorilla, which, well, I guess before I dive into a plot summary, yay or nay, did you enjoy it?
I mean, I can definitely enjoy it for what it was. I mean, it's definitely not a. I mean, it's definitely has that rustic charm.
Oh, there was rustic charm in it. Oh boy.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, obviously, it's. I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. I mean, it's basically a werewolf story adapted to the Amazon jungle, more or less.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, if you ever wondered, like, what would a werewolf story look like in the jungle instead of in the forest, or
and with a gorilla instead of a wolf, and with Raymond Burr
instead of those other chumps
talking about how the jungle is his house. Well, I guess to dive in a little more, I guess I'll do a quick plot summary. I'm gonna cheat because the plot was kind of vague and we're kind of confused by some. So I'm going to cheat and use IMDb for their very nice plot summary, which is instead of just one sentence going, it's a movie, it actually has something. So
because all we talk about is movies.
Yes, we talk about the movies. So I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do the IMDb one. Oh, I'm gonna have to pause real quick okay, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and do the IMDb one because the screen's messing up. What is this? No, I don't want no Beast Box. The Beast Box. Well, IMDb apparently says I'm interested in a movie called The Beast Box. So, oh man, I did not expect this level of technical difficulties so soon. Like, look, I cut the plot description in half. So it says the owner, jungle married, shortly after, estranged, transforms.
I'm not having any of that crap.
Okay, here we go. So, I guess we'll dive into the movie. The movie's pretty basic, so I'm going to go ahead and cheat and do the plot description from IMDb. So, the IMDb page for Bride of the Gorilla says, the owner of a plantation in the jungle marries a beautiful woman. Shortly afterwards, he is plagued by a strange voodoo curse, which transforms him into a gorilla. Was that pretty accurate, or kind of?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all that happens.
that pretty much is the movie. I guess diving into some more behind-the-scenes stuff. Of course, the movie stars Raymond Burr, TV's Perry Mason and Ironside, and Mr. Steve Martin from Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla 1985.
That's right, we said this in the intro.
Yeah, we did say this in the intro. So that's kind of a... I'm repeating myself. The movie also has long...
It's worth repeating.
Oh, yes. Like a good cast, it's worth repeating. And speaking of cast, also in the movie we have Lon Chaney Jr., who is the Wolfman, and the son of Lon Chaney Sr., the great silent movie actor, the man with 1,000 faces. He played the police lieutenant, captain, general.
Could he also smell 1,000 smells?
I can smell 1,000 smells.
Well, apparently Raymond Burr could smell 1,000 smells in this movie.
I can smell 1,000 smells.
But anyway, so Lon Chaney is in the movie is the. Does he say police captain or lieutenant or he?
Police chief.
Police
of the
chief
area.
Of the Amazon, who knows the
All
jungle
the
like the back
Amazon.
of the back of his hand.
I know my jungle, Doctor.
And he becomes an animal when he's in the jungle.
He becomes an animal too.
But not like the bad animals like Raymond Burr. Like a good human like animal.
He doesn't become like a werewolf like in The Wolfman, which is his most famous role.
Out there, my senses are those of an animal. Come.
That would have been cool. Wolfman versus the gorilla husband.
I mean, I'm sure I could pick something better, but it could be good.
That would be cool. I guess it could be Loch Ness Monster versus the gorilla. Come on, Asylum. If you're listening to this, Asylum, do that movie. I will watch it.
You know who would have to play the Loch Ness Monster in that one?
Who?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery is the Loch Ness Monster?
Yes.
What is this? So that's as much Sean
It's your
Connery.
mother, Trebek.
Oh Lord. So you must have known I was watching Never Say Never Again recently. So yeah, other cast members, we have Tom Conway, who's another horror movie actor. He was George Sanders' brother, and if I know you've seen The Jungle Book, the Disney movie The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
George Sanders is the voice of Shere Khan.
Oh,
Tiger.
yeah.
So Tom Conway is his brother, and he's been referred to as the nice George Sanders. And if you listen to his voice, their voices are very similar. George Sanders is just more of a, I guess, deeper presence. And of course, he was also in. Tom Conway was in Cat People, so it's kind of cool because this movie kind of has like 3 horror movie actors kind of in a mediocre movie, which I'll get more into. But so those are the 3 main actors. And then, of course, the movie was directed by Carl C. Idmack, which we were alluding to The Wolfman earlier, because Lon Chaney's in it, and he actually wrote The Wolfman and a bunch of other Universal horror movie scripts. And, he wrote and directed this movie, so it's kind of funny that it's connected, by the writer of The Wolfman, but you want to know another kind of weird tidbit about the history?
Tell me.
I will tell you. This movie's also, like, the script, Bride of the Gorilla, it's kind of patterned on one of the unmade scripts for The Wolfman. Because one of the original scripts for The Wolfman was supposed to be more dark and psychological, and you never actually see The Wolfman. And that was another, like, treatment. So it's kind of weird that this movie's pretty much like one of the early drafts of The Wolfman.
So you're saying that the plot of this movie could have been adapted to be the plot of The Wolfman?
Yes. I'm not sure about the whole Bride angle, but I was listening to the commentary on the Wolfman DVD, the Universal Legacy Collection by Tom Weaver, and he's talking about all the different scripts. And Tom Weaver brings up that the script, one of the original scripts for the Wolfman was all, you never actually saw the Wolfman. It was only through like reflections in water or glass. So Carl's, so it's kind of cool seeing that it's kind of like an early adaptation of the Wolfman. It stars Lon Chaney in it, who was the Wolfman, and it's written and directed by the guy who wrote the Wolfman, Carl C. Idmack. And unfortunately, this movie didn't really have any like cool lore like the Wolfman, other than the evil flower that that causes evil.
These leaves, they come from a plant called the pédiguin, the plant of evil.
No, witch woman, get away from my children.
I just find it funny that the plant is illegal. It'd be almost the same thing as it'd be the same thing as like outlawing Ouija boards or something because people think they can, well, I mean, we're supposed to be, the rational government officials of this place, but we're gonna, we're superstitious apparently.
So we must outlaw the evil plant that is poison and causes evil, and you can put spells on people.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's just like listen to the to the description they give of the plant right here.
Also brings evil. If you hurt it, you are cursed. Your wife will fall sick. Your children die.
And it's just hilarious because of they.
It's evil, so therefore it is illegal.
Yeah, it's just funny how the cops are taking it seriously. I just found that pretty hilarious.
Well, it is jungle superstition.
I mean, of course, in the universe of this movie, it's a real evil plant that does real evil. But I just find it funny.
Yeah. So I mean that's kind of basically behind the scenes stuff. The trivia page is very vague, other than the movie was shot in 7 days, which leads to my criticism.
That's not too surprising.
That movie did look like it was shot in 7 days. We saw the movie as part of the Sci-Fi 50 movie pack from Mill Creek, which is a great company that releases a bunch of public domain movies and some odd obscurities in these multi-movie packs where you get like 50 movies for $20, which is a good deal. Mostly you have to get through a bunch of garbage to get to the treasures.
Yeah.
And this movie was kind of like a hidden treasure. I'm glad that we watched it. But yeah, hearing that this movie was shot in 7 days does not surprise me, because it was pretty rough around the edges.
Yeah, for sure.
It looked kind of cheap in places. That's kind of the thing. And, it's a B movie in the truest sense that it's only an hour. It was 1 hour and 5 minutes long. So, I mean, I feel like maybe some of the problems with this movie probably came from the fact that it had such a compressed runtime, or maybe it didn't even have enough to keep it going for the whole movie, because it kind of backpedaled a lot. Some stuff we didn't really mention in the IMDb plot description is, there's a whole lot of, love triangles going on. You have the plantation owner and his wife, and of course Raymond Burrs' character is in love with her, and, he gets killed because he has a heart condition and a snake bites him. And, of course, the evil gypsy woman who they never really established what the evil gypsy woman does other than being a gypsy woman in the jungle. Like it's Transylvania. But they're in the jungle and in the Amazon. There's a gypsy woman.
That's one thing I wondered. Like, they keep her around. I guess she's supposed to be one of the servants, I guess. That's about...
Like all she does is go, in her back room and plays with her evil plant to make money and be suspicious.
Yeah.
I love the evil woman. But yeah, she's just she's kind of like Maria Umsanskaya from The Wolfman. So it's kind of that's another connection to The Wolfman. You have a gypsy woman. But there's really no need other than, I guess, people in the Amazon are very suspicious of things and superstition is keen. So
she's a witch.
She was a witch, yes. Woody Strode is also in this movie. In a little small cameo appearance. And it's just funny because, the first thing he's like, oh, yeah, I should commandeer this plant. But no, you can keep it. Just don't get near my house. I don't want witches near my children.
I bring such a plant to your house tonight.
No, I don't want it. I don't believe in black magic.
Don't tell anybody I have such a plant.
No, I won't. But you keep away from my house. I don't want witches near my children.
That was a hilarious line.
So, yeah, this whole movie's full of gems like that. So I guess diving into it, do you want to focus on the good or the negative stuff first?
I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I guess we'll knock the negative stuff out. I mean, I did enjoy this movie. And it looked like you were enjoying it. Because, I'll say this movie's limitations are very noticeable. I think the idea of the script was interesting, but the actual execution wasn't really all there. I mean, I could tell that it was a very low production, but there was just times where it's everyone in the cast is here and they're just chilling. The police inspector just likes hanging out at their house.
Yeah, that was that was pretty hilarious because it's just openly talking about, oh, are you going to arrest me? Or discussing the evidence right there. It's this isn't a courtroom, Yeah, this is just your house.
Well, not even that. Towards the end of the movie, they're Raymond Burr, which we should mention that this movie, not to kind of go on a tangent, but this movie's really bad with defining the timeline. There's not really any. It seems like it happens all in like the same weekend. It's supposed to be like a couple months going by.
Oh yeah, that's true. There was at least one. There's the transition from before they were married, or like after he died. Yeah, before they were married, but like after the guy had died. And it's like, oh well, now several months have apparently gone by. Now they're engaged, and because it's like, you know, one minute Raymond Burrs about to get thrown out of the house, and then the owner dies. And then the next minute it's like, oh no, I own this house now. Like,
yeah, we're getting married. And Gypsy Woman's there being all suspicious. And of course, one of the guests of honor they invite to the wedding is the police inspector, who I guess is okay with you know, this suspected murderer marrying this white woman in the jungle.
It's like, hey, yeah, I wanted to accuse you of murder and have you arrested, but can I come to your wedding anyway?
Yeah, I like Punch and Pie. So that was interesting. But one thing about this movie is it's like you can tell that they didn't really have a lot of money for a lot of extras. It's pretty much just in like 2 locations, actually 3. There's the plantation, I guess the police station, which looks like just another room in the plantation, and the very small stretch of jungle. It seemed like it was an interesting idea, but it never really was fully developed. And maybe if they had more of a running time or more of a budget, they could have made it more interesting. Because I think the cast was good. I mean, I don't really have a lot to nitpick about the movie other than it was just kind of. It just felt like something was missing. Like I enjoy adventure movies in the jungle. I mean, I enjoy stuff like that, but it just seemed like something didn't gel about this movie. Like it felt like there was never really a conflict, and you know, I know this is kind of like a werewolf movie, and usually in a werewolf movie you have like, oh no, the guy realizes he's a werewolf and he's like telling everyone, hey, chain me to a chair, or you know, don't let me go out at night and kill someone again. This was more of just like, well, apparently my husband Raymond Burr just runs out in the jungle and stays gone all night, and he comes back looking like he was drunk, and it's not even a big deal.
Yeah,
and they never really elaborate on, oh, people in the village are dying and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think really it's a lot of the limitations, not just of the time, but definitely of the budget. Like you know, for example, they're on a plantation, but you never really see it. Not that it's that big of a deal, but because I mean, it's on these small sets and such, and then they never show, like, really, the actual gorilla, you know, Raymond Burr turning into the gorilla, like, you don't really see the gorilla really do anything. Mm-hmm. Like, you hear about it, oh, he killed a bunch of cattle, or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But, like, even at the end, there really wasn't almost anything that he really did. There's not a whole lot of action in this movie. There's a few gunshots in the forest, or, you know, but that's not much.
Or the one scene where, the police inspector and the doctor, played by, you know, Tom Conway, they're coming in, and, you know, the wife hears something going on in the back porch, and she just starts opening fire, and all of a sudden, Tom Conway's like, please, don't shoot, after she's already shot into the open jungle 6 or 7 times.
Dina, it's me, Beard. Don't shoot.
Well, I mean, I know she might be trying to channel some of the Predator energy shooting out in the forest for no reason like that, but
oh no, oh no, but
it's just not quite as the same.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they never really established. I mean, you know, much of the attacks. Now, what you were saying about seeing the gorilla, I'm okay with it being suggested and being like point of view shots. You know, because they did do that a couple times where you never actually see the gorilla. I mean, it kind of gives itself away because there's like 1 or 2 shots where you can clearly see a gorilla carrying her, and it's not the point of view of the gorilla. But they didn't even really bother, or maybe some of this was cut, or maybe they just didn't have the budget for it. But I mean, they just didn't actually show these attacks. There was no suspense scenes showing the point of view of the gorilla attacking people. Really, most of the suspense came from, you know, just watching Raymond Burr, like, walk outside, like, what? Do you hear that? The jungle is my house.
The jungle's my house.
I gotta go around, and it's like, what? What? No, Raymond Burr, come back. So, I mean, that's really the only thing I had to kind of nitpick. It's just, like, something didn't gel in the movie. But I still enjoyed it. What about you? Any negatives about the movie?
Well,
that,
I have to take it for, okay, it's a 1950s movie. Apparently it was filmed in 7 days.
Uh-huh.
It's, the thing is that it's not really much of a horror movie. It's not really much of it's definitely not an action movie in any way.
Uh-huh.
It's
more of a melodrama than anything, because it's more of, no, the doctor loves you now, and the love triangles and all the melodrama.
Yes, thank you for saying the sentence I was just about to say. Darn it! But but yeah, it's really just a kind of multiple love triangle drama. And the thing, at first it seems kind of simple, but it's probably, you would agree, the most melodramatic moment was like, "Doctor, you love me too, don't you?" It's just like,
yes. Apparently, Tom Conway. I mean, not to go on too much of a tangent, but it's like, apparently Tom Conway is just always going to be like the sleazy doctor, or the sleazy plantation, or the sleazy psychiatrist. Because, going back to the Val Lewin movies like Cat People and I Walk with a Zombie and Seven Victim, he's always just like the guy who's, trying to sleep with his patient or sleep with a married woman or falls in love with. In this movie, it's not really hinted at that he's lusting. He's more like, I like you as a platonic friend, but you shouldn't be with that brute of a husband, Mr. Raymond Burr. He murders people.
Yeah.
And he's a gorilla. So...
Wait a minute. Did he actually murder a person? I thought it was just...
Yeah, there was a dead person, and there was some livestock. See, that's the thing.
But who was the dead person? Was it even a character, or did they just say...
Well, no. Other than the actual plantation guy who owned it before they got married, which was, he kind of like attacked him, and then the snake bit him. That was really about it. But that's the thing. The movie's very vague with things, unless we just weren't paying attention. But I think we were. I mean...
Well, I was trying to pay attention. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I love, that gypsy woman. Maybe she put a curse on us to not know the body count. But that's the thing, is, I feel like...
Well, no, I don't, well, at least none of the main characters...
Yeah, none of the main characters really died.
Yeah, except for the guy at the beginning, the plantation owner at the beginning, and then Raymond Burr at the end. Wait, did the girl die at the end, too? I couldn't even tell what they were trying to say.
No, she was cradled in Tom Conway's arms, and they were kind of united, while the police inspector left, and of course he said words of wisdom like, "The jungle got its revenge on Barney."
Yeah. Speaking of Raymond Burr, his character's name is Barney. Hey kids, I'm going to be a gorilla now and kill you. Now granted, I was already a dinosaur, which would probably be easier at killing you, but now I'll be a gorilla. Yeah. Okay, that joke has gone on long enough.
That is, well, no, but I mean, Raymond Burr is good. So really, I mean, with the bad, that's pretty much it. I mean, there is nothing really offensively bad about this movie. It's just some of it didn't gel.
Kind of silly.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was hokey, and that's the thing. It's like it might have started out as a good script, but just something didn't mesh. This movie needed to be like a B picture for Universal, not just Jack Burton Productions. So I guess moving on to the good stuff. So I guess talking about the performances. I mean, I enjoyed Raymond Burr just looking off into the distance, talking about, I can hear thousands of voices. I can feel everything, smell all these smells, taste everything, and the jungle is my house, and he's going off and all these stuff.
The jungle?
Close the door. I don't want to hear it.
Oh. Sounds like music. You hear that? You hear that high sound? That's a bird with long red feathers. It flies without making a noise. But its voice gives it away.
I know it. It's the vicuna bird.
I even hear the snakes. Look, I have to leave.
Barney, you've got a fever.
No, I haven't. But I have to leave.
Well, you can't go in the jungle at this time of night.
You hear them? Dina. Go to bed, Dina.
I think Raymond Burr delivered the perfect, kind of sympathetic sleazeball performance, but I mean, he was a sleazy character. I mean, when you meet him, he's, it's already implied that he's been, sleeping with the servant girl and with the wife of the plantation owner, and he's just kind of a sleazy guy to begin with. So what did you think of Raymond Burr's performance?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was pretty good, although I think at some parts, I think he seemed a little wooden. I'm not really, I don't know if wooden is the right word, but he just seemed just kind of...
wooden would be a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, for one thing for sure, Raymond Burr is very good at looking intense. So he did that very well.
Yes.
And of course when he was and I think he did well when he was talking about the jungle and stuff like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would consider Raymond Burr to be probably not my top 10 favorite actors, but just like top. I mean, at least in the top 50.
Yeah,
he's good. But I really enjoy him in a lot of stuff, and I think he was pretty cool in this movie. Just with doing all the crazy stuff and looking in the mirror and then seeing the girl on the other side. And he punches the mirror like it's just
that was
cool.
A pretty good scene. So it feels like that was stuff that was missing that they could have used if the movie was stretched out a little bit, because they imply so much and they like have all these different plot points going on, and then it kind of amounts to just bleh. It would have been cool to see him like slowly go more crazy and have more allocations of him being on drugs. Like the doctor's like, does he take any drugs? His pupils were looking weird. Okay.
We all know Raymond Burr takes drugs.
Yes, he takes life. But no,
he takes life.
I don't know where I was going with that.
What?
So, yeah, oh man, but yeah.
This is the quality of jokes you get on Apologize to the Podcast, people.
Oh, I'm gonna get sued by the Burr estate. Burr. So, see, I did another one. I sound like a sheep. The movie reviewing sheep. So yeah, with Raymond Burr, his performance was great. I actually really enjoyed Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance in this movie. I know usually he's a little more hammy and kind of collecting a paycheck, but this one he seemed to actually be enjoying himself a lot. Apparently in the trivia on Imdb they were talking about how apparently Raymond Burr and Lon Chaney didn't get along at all, which I can kind of see watching the movie with that in mind. Like whenever,
well, I mean that their characters weren't so happy with each other.
Yeah, if only they made a monster movie like Buddy Cop or something like that, where it's like werewolf and gorilla. But
you and your buddy cop obsessions, you want everything to be
buddy
turned
cop
into a buddy
movies,
cop.
Everything could be turned into a buddy cop movie. It'd be great. Rumpelstiltskin, the buddy cop movie.
What?
So yes, but
just stop right there. Just get back to the movie.
Yeah. So with Lon Chaney Jr., I think he was doing a pretty good performance as the police captain. It seemed at times like he was kind of going for the Lawrence Talbot, Wolfman performance.
Doctor, I was born in this little town.
I know.
I sometimes regret that I went to university and then returned to this jungle with its superstitions. It only served to confuse me.
You never impressed me that way, Taro.
How can I help being confused? My native mind is filled with these superstitions. My legal mind was developed through books written by people without emotion.
Yes, but justice must detach itself from emotion.
Oh, that I realize.
Anyway, going to Lon Chaney. So it's cool seeing Lon Chaney in this movie, not really looking like he's just collecting a paycheck. He looked like he was actually invested as the police inspector. He plays off the other characters very well. It's just, yet again, it seems like he's not really given much to do other than talking about how the jungle is cursed. And towards the end, he reveals, like, I know the jungle. I'm, part of the jungle. So,
George of the jungle?
He's George. That would have been cool.
Well, if his character's named George, I guess it could work, but...
Inspector George of the jungle. So, I mean, Lon Chaney was fun. I mean, at times he seemed like he wanted to be the gorilla man, because he's, like, looking intense. Yeah. Talking about the curse.
Well, wouldn't that kind of have made more sense for him to be the...
I guess. I mean, I like they had Raymond Burr as the gorilla.
Well, I guess the only thing, though, is that his role as the gorilla is nowhere near as iconic.
As the Wolfman, yeah. And that's the thing, it's like, this movie feels like it was kind of a forgotten. I mean, I guess it's like a rightfully forgotten B movie, but I enjoyed chunks of it, and I'll go ahead and say that.
Well, it's just I think that makes a lot of sense though, because when you think about it, it's like it's basically taking the plot of a B movie, or taking a B movie and like shifting it by 2 degrees by changing the setting and changing some things around. So when you make when you make a what's the word I'm looking for? When you make just a variant on a B movie, you're gonna get an even worse B movie than when you started out with.
That's what I'm trying to get to. I know this movie gets dogged on a lot, and that's what I'm saying. I enjoyed it. I'm just saying it just felt like stuff wasn't meshing. You know, the performances were just, they were good, they were admirable. It just seems like sometimes people weren't like giving their 110. But I think Lon Chaney was doing good as a police inspector. It seemed like he could have, you know, it could have been any actor, but the fact it's Lon Chaney's pretty cool. What did you think of the sleazy doctor, you know, Tom Conway's character?
Yeah,
his little pencil mustache and
there's really not
comb over.
there's not really too much to say about him. I think, you know, I think he's one of those characters where I was under the impression that he wasn't going to have that big of a role, but he just kept hanging around throughout the movie. So and then he ends up being like the semi-hero, I guess, at the end. So it's kind of, I mean, honestly, I think that's kind of weird because that doesn't usually happen. Like, I mean, some, you know, when these you know, werewolf movies or, you know, movies where strange things are happening, usually there's a doctor who's going to try to explain things rationally, and that's kind of what the role he fulfills. But then he also ends up being the hero at the end, so he's kind of like playing a dual role, and I guess it's kind of interesting that they went in that direction.
Yeah, I can see that, and you know, if you look at this kind of like, you know, a Madhouse mirror version of the Wolfman, you know, you can see what makes that movie such an iconic classic. There's no like mysterious fog, and you know, it's got the same beats. You know, you got like in a police inspector, you got a troubled soul, you got a love interest, you got a gypsy woman, which, you know, I guess that's the next thing to bring up is, what did you think of the the gypsy woman who just, hello, I'm evil.
I think in terms of campy fun, she was the most the character who best represented that.
And her eyes kept looking like they were getting ready to pop out of her skull.
That's so true.
It's just like, the flower is evil, and she looked like the evil medium from Courage the Cowardly Dog, the little cat woman.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter Gwan, cloud his mind, changed Bunny Chavez into an animal. In his eyes he shall be an animal. He shall be an animal in the animal's eyes.
Yeah, but I think, honestly, we probably could have used some more of her, actually, because she was. Because it's such an old movie, and because of, like, I couldn't take her seriously. So if we're gonna have more of her, it's gonna be for more comic relief more than anything.
Oh, no. They could have maybe if her performance is guided in a better way, you know. Because, I mean, the movie is pretty cheap, so, I mean, maybe they guided her to be more of a, you know, like a motherly figure, or, you know, have more of a purpose. Because it really does seem like she's just kind of lounging around the house. She's not really a servant. They never show her, like, being like the cleaning lady or anything. It's just like, yeah, I'll give you clean towels, but I'll put a curse on you, damn it, you know.
Yeah.
Like they could have done so much with that character, like make her a resentful maid, or make her like a crazy neighbor, or, you know, they could have. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like a sitcom, but they could have they could have done something else to give her something else to do. And just every time she was describing that plant,
There shall be the murderer these eyes have seen. Cursed shall be Bunny Chavez. He shall be like an animal that hunt in the jungle. Jungle shall hunt him to his death.
He has the heart of a gorilla.
Well, I think one other thing though is that at the very beginning when it seemed to me like the whole reason why the gypsy woman was angry at Raymond Burr to begin with was because of she hurt the other younger servant girl's heart. But then that just kind of gets dropped as soon as it's brought up, and like she doesn't really even do anything later on.
The servant girl, that's another interesting point. The servant girl just kind of randomly shows up throughout the movie. Like towards the end when, the doctor's confronting the wife and going, oh hey, he looks like he's on drugs. She's in the background. He's like, well, I need to be left alone to talk to the mistress of the house. And she just like throws down the bar of soap on the ground. She's like, what's wrong? Oh, nothing, ma'am, and leaves. Yeah. So she just shows up and it's like, well, what are you doing in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they introduce a subplot, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and it doesn't, it seemed important at the very beginning. Although that's actually one other thing I should criticize. At the beginning, it took me a while to figure out what anything was going on, just to be honest.
Yeah, it was vague. I think it's more of just, you have to think of your basic melodramatic, love triangle subplot, and then, it leads to murder, and then gets a curse put on it.
Well, considering all the melodrama, the one thing that I found that was sorely lacking in this movie was an actual gorilla wedding. I wanted to see a gorilla in a top hat and the bride walking down the aisle.
Sir, I think you're a little delusional.
Oh, come on.
Bride of the Gorilla.
It's called Bride of the Gorilla.
What?
I'm not asking too much.
I can see the poster now. Oh, no. But, no, I mean... it did lie to you, at least.
Well, in some ways, I'm joking, but in some ways, I'm kind of serious. Like, I would, that's almost what I was expecting. Because, it's the 50s... And it's like, he's giving me a look like I'm stupid, but I'm telling, come on, people, you want to see this.
Yeah, your idea of the 50s is kind of shameful. It's like, no, they had legit good plots going on.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying everything in the 50s is bad. I'm just saying that was an era where you could have a gorilla in a top hat being married to a woman. I think it should have happened.
Maybe in the Munsters, but I don't think trying to do a suspense thriller. Because, this movie is fairly serious. I think that's where most of the comedy comes from, just how over-the-top serious this movie is, where you have parts like, I keep talking about, Raymond Burr's performance, just the melodrama stuff, his intensity, the actual love triangle, of course, the gypsy woman who's just intense, but unlike Miss, Umanskaya from The Wolfman, this woman is just unintelligible at all. You cannot make out what she is saying. So most of the comedy comes from just the fact that she's just the gorilla that turns into the man who is now the gorilla, and it's just like, what? So a lot of the comedy just comes from her awkward close-ups where it cuts to her and she's just like, no, and she's murmuring stuff under her voice. Which I guess there's a lot of different scenes like that. I know one moment that you liked was the scene where they're asking, well, was it a creature that stood on two legs? And it's like, no, it was a man that stood on. No, it was this something that stood on two legs. It's like, no, this was a creature that stood on two legs. And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty hilarious.
So most of this movie is pretty. Like that. We're kind of running out of stuff to talk to because, like I said, it's short, sweet. It's done in an hour. It's boom, boom, bam.
It's forgotten 50s stuff.
Yeah, but I think the movie is, I guess, kind of say other things I enjoy. It's shot well. I enjoy, B movies from the 50s, and this is not embarrassing at all. It's just, like I said, it's kind of underdeveloped. And it never really went either way with either extreme camp, where it's just so bad it's good, and it never went to, classic territory. It's just kind of in the middle, and it's mediocre, and, enjoy the performances, but it just seems like there's so much missing. It's kind of hard to give, I really loved it, or I really hated it. It's just kind of I'm meh, do you kind of feel the same way? It's just kind of it happened. It's a movie. It's not terrible or good. It's just kind of
Yeah, I mean, obviously this isn't going to become a classic for me in my mind. Like and I think in some ways it's pretty forgettable overall. Like it's a derivative of another movie, or it's a derivative of the Wolfman basically. And that doesn't necessarily make it terrible, but given the limitations of the 50s, they can't really deliver the thrills in the same way. And I mean, if you're into melodrama with some with some gorillas and some jungle and like I don't know, like it's if that's your thing, then then here you go.
And that will be the review on the DVD cover. If that's your thing, then here you go, AJ. Actually, that's the one thing. This movie did have some staples of 50s sci-fi gold that I wanted to go into. Like, now, did you enjoy all the random stock footage that was cutting in and out of the monkeys and the tigers?
Obviously they're not gonna, film all this stuff in person, and they're not gonna go out and be like, oh, let's film some special footage just for this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see a lot more movies with stock footage, but I mean, did you enjoy seeing just cut to Raymond Burr, cut to stock footage of monkey cradling a baby?
Well, it's kind of funny though, just because of I guess in today's time we have so many like documentaries trying to show off nature and all its beauty and everything. I think it's kind of funny to like go back to the 50s and take some black and white footage of these same animals and be like, oh hey, look, there's these. I mean, there's these animals you don't get to see every day. Isn't this neat? And it's like, I don't know.
It's a tiger. It's a puppy. It's a monkey.
It's a gorilla.
It's a gorilla. And that's one thing. Another staple of 50s sci-fi is, you get a gorilla suit. Now, what we did see of the gorilla suit, did you enjoy the gorilla suit?
Honestly, I enjoyed what we got, but I still kind of feel like we didn't quite get enough of the gorilla, just in general. More talking about the gorilla, more Raymond Burr coming back from after he's already been the gorilla. So, I mean, like, yeah, sure, I liked what we saw of the gorilla. I mean, the scene where he punches the mirror, I mean, I thought it was actually genuinely kind of creepy.
Yeah.
That was probably the one scene that was actually kind of creepy because, it's just like, oh, there's the gorilla in the mirror. Like, but anyway.
But, I mean, did you actually enjoy it was a pretty cheap-looking suit. Did you enjoy having the kitschy gorilla suit?
I think it looked good enough. I mean, hey, it looks better than what you could buy at a random Halloween store. So there's that.
Good. It's not the mighty Gorgo. Oh my. Okay. So that covers those bases. So that kind of covers all the bases of the 50s, sci-fi cheese. I mean, there's not really much of it in there, but it's, the staples of, I guess B movies, drive-in trash. Now, if you had to pick a favorite scene in the movie, do you have a favorite scene that you would pick?
I think maybe the scene with the gypsy woman just describing the evil.
Describing the evil, like to Woody Strode, or when she first puts the curse on him?
Maybe the Woody Strode scene.
Okay, that's pretty good. And he's like, "No, woman, I don't want no witches around my house." Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and go with my favorite scene. I love just the confrontation between Raymond Burr and his wife when he's talking about, the jungle is my house. I roam around. I know I've said that like 1,000 times tonight, but yeah, that's pretty much my favorite moment. Is just that sound bite. I want that to be my little text message tone. Whenever someone sends me a text message, it'll be like, "The jungle is my house." So I mean, just like, what?
The jungle's my house.
We all wish the jungle could be our house.
Well, what about your least favorite scene? You got a least favorite scene?
Yeah, not really.
Not really. It's kind of meh. Nothing really offended you.
Yeah, there wasn't anything too offensive to warrant a least favorite scene. I don't know. It's like my opinion about this movie. I don't necessarily like regret seeing it. I think, but to be honest, it's in some ways it's gonna end up being filler for my brain.
Filler for your brain. Yeah, it was pretty forgettable, but I'm like I said, I'm glad that we took a chance and picked this, especially for a last-minute substitute.
Yeah, I mean,
since the other DVD was kind of acting up.
Literally, I looked at the back of the 50 movie pack, and I saw Raymond Burr in the corner. I'm like, well, which one is Raymond Burr in?
We're going to watch Bride the Gorilla. And that's the thing is, I would recommend, kind of to wrap up a little bit, I'd say definitely check it out if you're remotely interested in Raymond Burr. It is interesting to see, if you want to kind of compare it to the Wolfman and see what happened if they try to take a more Val Lewton or psychological approach to it, where it's more implied horror. But like I said, I feel like they didn't imply enough. They didn't show enough, and they didn't even imply enough. But for an hour, it's perfectly fine. It just seems like it was interesting enough where I feel like they could have stretched it. But it just seemed like they just had to bide their time. They only had 7 days, so they were like, we got to turn this thing out,
Yep.
But I think for a movie where Raymond Burr is third build, it's still a very quintessential performance for him. It's pretty fun seeing him just running around, looking bad, getting his leg trapped in a bear trap,
sweaty and dirty.
Yeah, and the court. Oh, you know what? One moment I forgot to bring up was when the peasants, or not the peasants, but the people working on the plantation, look at Raymond Burr, and they're like, "Oh, sir, your hands, they have dry blood on them," and it shows a close up, and his hand is perfectly clean.
Yeah,
it's like, what happened?
I think that's just mainly the limitations of it being in black and white.
No, but his hand was skin tone, so maybe he was completely covered in blood.
Yeah,
it was normal skin tone, maybe a little tan because he's been out in the sun all day. But
I mean, either way, there is not really much of a way for us to be able to tell unless they make it really obvious.
They should put a little just put some Hershey chocolate syrup on him, like in Psycho, and boom, you got it right.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's pretty much Bride the Gorilla. It was fun. We'll definitely have to pick another movie from one of these Mill Creek sets randomly and see what the results are.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Word of warning: we'll have to avoid Night Fright at all costs. That's the one, John Agar, and that movie is bad. We're not watching Night Fright.
Thanks for the warning, I guess.
I guess if a lot of listeners send in, no, watch Night Fright. I'm like, no, I'm not going to watch Night Fright unless people are begging. You can't make me unless you're really persuasive.
We need at least two people begging.
If 2 people want to beg for me to watch Night Fright, I'll do it. But no, that movie's going to be boring. Maybe it's a double feature. It's something not as boring. But anyway, on this particular movie, so Bride the Gorilla. I mean, it's it is what it is. So I guess sign off. AJ, where can they find you?
They can find me at my house, which is the jungle.
The jungle is your house.
AKA Don't Ignore Me, the YouTube channel.
Well, you can find me at my jungle house. You can find me in some crazy gypsy woman's bedroom. And bedroom. Anyway, let's do that again. Okay, and you can find me in a crazy gypsy woman's bedroom. I mean, Jalaman22. YouTube channel.
I think mine was better.
Yeah, yours is better. Who wants to be in that gypsy woman's bedroom? The flower of evil. And
I mean, I was just assuming that you were saying you were sleeping with the gypsy woman.
Well, that was picking the plot. Apparently, it's a love triangle. This whole time, I've been sleeping.
More like
with
a love hexagon at this point.
Oh no! What if we learned from Bride the Gorilla? Love hexagons. So anyway, so also if you want to contact us or leave us any feedback on the podcast, we have Apologize to the Podcast on Facebook, so you can send feedback there. When we upload this episode to YouTube, you can comment in the comment section, or you can send us an email to apologize to the podcast 1@yahoo.com. So anyway, we're gonna sign off. We're gonna say apologize to the podcast, and on 3 we need to say the jungle is my house. So ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. The jungle is my house.
The jungle's my house.